Welcome to Let's Eat. I'm your host, Emily, holistic health coach and self-proclaimed wellness enthusiast, here to meet you at the intersection of physical and mental health, the exact location where optimal wellness lies. This podcast is meant to explore all areas of mind and body wellness, designed to offer you the integrative knowledge, behavioral strategies, and mindset shifts necessary to uplevel your health and feel better today. We'll explore nutrition, sleep, movement, self-care and stress management, habits and routines, gut health, mental health, and more. I am so happy that you're here. Welcome to the table. Let's eat. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Let's Eat. I'm so happy that you're here, and I'm really excited to talk about this topic today. I will, preface this whole episode by saying there are probably hundreds of other habits that I could have showcased here and I could have talked about at great length, and I likely will in the future talk a lot more. And I probably already have talked quite a bit about habits that really have transformed my day, transformed my quality of life, transformed my wellness. But these are some of the ones that I feel have been most pivotal in my journey, especially in the past probably 3 to 4 years, and have really allowed me to feel good every day, has really changed the way I see my life and the way I approach certain things in terms of my business and relationships and so forth. And so I'm really excited to share them with you today. So, like I said, there are a lot of habits that I could share here. There's a lot of habits that I feel are relevant to this topic. But for today's sake, we are just going to explore 4 different habits that I feel have been among the most influential, and I feel that they will bring you the most value moving forward. So, my first habit is getting into the mindset and personal development space has been such a significant part of my business and how I operate from day to day. Now, this one is kind of an umbrella with a lot of different components underneath. I think, simply developing awareness around my mindset and really understanding how our thoughts create our reality. This was something that was very new to me, and I explored it first, I think, through reading the You Are a Badass books. This line of books, or this series of books, is by Jen Sincero. I never know if I'm pronouncing her last name right. And I think I read it probably about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I couldn't get enough. I wanted to read more. I read all of the books that she has, and she is known for saying awareness is the key to transformation. And this is something that I say with clients. This is something I said with therapy clients. I say this time and time again. Awareness is the key to self-transformation, and there's nothing more true than that. Simply for the sake of the fact that once we can really tune into what our thoughts are saying and how they determine how we feel, and then subsequent actions can make a tremendous difference on our lives, right? If we are able to really draw our attention to how our thoughts unfold, what we're thinking, this is going to allow us the opportunity to respond to them differently. Something that I constantly share with clients is the fact that we can't change what our thoughts are saying, right? Our thoughts are automatic, but we can choose to respond to them in a different way. And I think we allow ourselves to operate on autopilot. I know that 80% of our thoughts are negative and 90% of our thoughts are repetitive. And so when we really think about that statistic, how often are we really thinking pessimistically, negatively, and in a repetitive way? And so in this case, it can be a little bit more challenging to identify the thoughts if they've been thoughts that we've been thinking for years and years, maybe decades, and now we're suddenly going to draw our attention to them and realize, oh my goodness, these have been the thoughts that have just continued to permeate my reality. And if you're familiar with quantum physics and really understanding frequencies and energy and so forth, we know that what we're putting out into the universe is what we get back, right? And so how these thoughts create our reality is something that we have control over, and we can really, tune into in order to create a different existence. So I won't go too much into that arena because I don't necessarily feel totally qualified to speak on it and quantum physics and so forth. Very fascinating. This was something that I really wasn't exposed to. And then when I started working at the private practice that I was working for about a year and a half, my supervisor was really big into it, and she introduced me to Joe Dispenza and meditation and quantum leap meditations, and it opened up a whole new world. But it was also coinciding with my own personal development journey too. And now to this day, I incorporate a lot of these strategies and these practices as a means of really raising my vibe. And, just in terms of business too, I worked with a coach at the end of 2022. Wasn't the most pleasant experience. I don't think I got as much out of it as I intended to get out of it, but she very much operates in this space around mindset and utilizing it to your advantage as a business owner, and abundance mindset and lack mindset, and really understanding all of this has been really foundational to how I now move forward throughout my life. One thing that I do daily now is I always try to start the day with gratitude and identifying things that I'm grateful for. I was just having a conversation with a client the other day where, once you tune into practicing gratitude and more consistently finding gratitude or showing gratitude for even little things, right? I have a warm matcha with me as I'm recording this, and really just, tuning into how grateful I am that I have a warm beverage, that I have access to this great quality matcha. If you haven't heard me give a shout out to my matcha yet, then you haven't been here long enough, because I love Peak Matcha. It's so good. I can also link it in the show notes so that you can go try it for yourself. So good. I also switched over from coffee to matcha towards the end of last summer. Now I have coffee from time to time. I do love coffee. I have been a coffee girl through and through for my whole last 10 years of existence, but I was having some stomach issues which caused me to switch over to matcha, and now I love matcha. So just as a slight tangent there. Finding gratitude, even in moments that are not so pleasant, right? What is this trying to teach me? What is the lesson I can derive from here? And really trying to still find that silver lining amidst things that maybe are not so good, especially in business. Oh my goodness, especially in business. This has been really, really helpful, very helpful, because it's a complete shift of mindset when a lot of times we become very fixated on the things that are negative, or maybe, we're more pessimistic, or something didn't go right, or something didn't go as planned, or we're having a slower month. How can we still find the good in this so that we're continuing to foster this level of gratitude and level of abundance and so forth? And incorporating affirmations and intention setting and so forth has also become a very big part of my routine. Utilizing affirmations in any degree, right, as it relates to business, as it relates to personal growth, I think can be hugely, hugely influential on our day, on our outlook, and really allows you to connect with who you intend to be for the day, or who you want to visualize yourself as. And what we know about visualization is that can create our reality, right? The more that we connect with the person that we want to be, the more that we identify what it feels like to be that person, or to achieve that goal, the more energy goes there, right? Where our attention goes, energy flows. And so really being able to connect with that person or with that image actually has profound influence on our ability to get to that place. And this is something I work with clients on too. When I have our initial consultation, we talk about, the client's needs, we talk about what their concerns are, where they'd like to be. And I always ask them, what does your ideal self look like? What would be the ideal? And not only does this give me an opportunity to learn a little bit more about where they want to go, right? What their focuses are, but it also gives them the opportunity to connect with that ideal self, right? We can visualize and we can really connect with that ideal, state of life, quality of life. And by continuing to revisit that image, by continuing to revisit that feeling, you're actually really connecting with that and creating that for yourself. So affirmations, intention setting, gratitude, right? Really a great way to level yourself every morning, really a great way to connect with the person that you want to be that day. Gives you an opportunity to connect and visualize to some extent. And I feel like this has been a really big part of understanding how important it is for us to be aware of our mindset alongside, any type of journey, whether it's an entrepreneurial journey, a wellness journey, and so forth, because our thoughts have such profound influence and our mindset has such profound influence on what outcomes arise. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about how this is another illustration of the mind-body perspective, right? How our thoughts impact our physical being. And if we're constantly having thoughts about, I'm unsuccessful, or I'm always going to be sick, or I'm never going to feel better, or I'm never going to lose the weight, if we constantly engage in these repetitive thoughts, they are inevitably going to hold us back from making the progress that we want to make. And I think that this is where mindset becomes one of the biggest areas of focuses for myself and clients. Sometimes it's a primary focus, right? We can make small nutritional changes and behavioral changes alongside, but it's really the mindset piece that's not only going to impact our physiology, but it's also going to determine if we're successful and if we can actually connect with that future self, that ideal self, in order to be more successful, right? If our thoughts are not aligned with the person that we want to become, and this goes for anyone, this goes for a professional journey, an entrepreneurial journey, a wellness journey, if our thoughts are misaligned and they are not in alignment with the behavioral changes that we're looking to make or the steps we're trying to make, the actionable steps that we want to take, we have to be aware of that dissonance that's there. And we have to be willing to address it. And this goes even a step further, right? Where we think about, how our thoughts create our reality. So the more that we connect with these negative, self-defeating, self-discouraging thoughts, which is more often than not, right? Be patient with yourself in that process. That is going to become a reality. And even further, it's going to inhibit us from maintaining these behavioral changes and taking those necessary steps because our thoughts are counting us out. Our thoughts are saying, no way, you can't do this. Think about all the times you've tried in the past, and so forth. So awareness is the key to self-transformation. I will say that again and again and again. If you listened to the episode on mindset and behavioral change, you heard me say it then, and I go into this topic a little bit more. But for the sake of this initial habit, right, for the sake of this topic of conversation, getting into the mindset and personal development world has changed my life. It's changed my outlook. It's changed my perspective. It's certainly made an impact on how I feel emotionally and even physically throughout the day, right? Because we know that there's a connection there. And it's really made, a huge impact on my ability to move forward in this entrepreneurial space when things did get tough, or, when I realized I was operating from a lack mindset, and really tuning into that, building awareness around that, actively practicing mindfulness, and creating the thoughts that we want in order to succeed, in order for us to be successful at our wellness goals, is going to be one of the best things that we do for ourselves. Not only in personal development, but also just as it relates to health and wellness. You have to mentally connect with the person that you want to be, the way you want to feel, and put forth energy into those thoughts. A resource I'm going to recommend to you is a book by Louise Hay. She is an author and really, really big in the world of how our thoughts can make us sick and how our thoughts contribute to disease. This is a little bit parallel to what I'm talking about here, right? Mindset, personal development, but this is more about how our thoughts are creating disease versus how our thoughts can heal. And she goes into that in her book. The book itself is called You Can Heal Your Life. She has a couple other books too. There's The Power Is Within You, I believe, and there's a few others, but she's well renowned for this philosophy of realigning your thoughts to support health and to create health within the body. And she's a living testament to that. I'll let you read her story and so forth if you're interested. But really, really understanding this part of your wellness journey, if you are an entrepreneur or, in any capacity, your thoughts create your reality. And, tuning into this a little bit more can have a profound impact on what your reality looks like in both a positive and a negative way. So if I were to give you any type of takeaway here, I would say start tuning into your thoughts. Journaling can be a really powerful practice for this. Start to integrate gratitude. Just practicing 3 gratitude statements every morning. So easy. As soon as you wake up, practice gratitude for the night's sleep that you had. Practice gratitude for your warm bed. Practice gratitude for the day ahead. really simple. It can be very, very basic, and it doesn't take a lot, of time. It's simply just building it as a habit. Meditation and breath work, definitely huge players in this equation as well. And really, just getting in tune with your thoughts and being aware of your thoughts. That's first and foremost. That's really where things can change for you once you draw your attention to, what your thoughts are saying. I will put in the show notes a few books that I read when I first got started as well, so that you can tune into those resources. I think reading and educating yourself and really understanding mindset and manifestation and so forth is going to help you a lot, especially beyond what I could explain to you. I learned from these experts. I learned from the more prominent figures in the field. So I can imagine that you will benefit from it as well. And it'll give you more comprehensive understanding of what this means and the science behind it and so forth. So I will put that in the show notes for you to access, to take advantage of. But number one, first habit, personal development, mindset, all that wrapped up in one has really changed the game for me. All right, habit number 2, clarifying supplemental needs. Now, I will preface this by saying I spent so many years with little to no understanding of why I was taking the certain supplements I bought, what it meant to find a, reputable quality brand, what to be looking for on supplements, bottles, and so forth. I never questioned the integrity of the product. And something I want to really emphasize here is not all supplements are created equal. The supplement industry is much like the food industry, and there can be a lot of mislabeling, mismarketing, a lot of terminology that's used to confuse the consumer as to what it is that you're getting. And the education that is so imperative that we all invest in to understand how to read a supplement label and what it is that you're looking for. This is a whole additional ball game that exists within the wellness world that I find to be really problematic. And so a few things first and foremost, it's really important that you're working with someone who knows what they're looking at and knows what they're doing. I also typically suggest too that, identifying a few solid brands that you can trust, that are reputable, is probably one of the best things that you can do if you are someone who's looking into supplementation. Because more often than not, if you're shopping a brand that is, third party tested, and that they use high quality ingredients, and they're avoiding the use of fillers and so forth, then typically what you're buying from them across the board is something that can be trusted. Now, I don't want to say this as a blanket statement, because I'm sure that can differ from brand to brand, and maybe certain products of certain brands are better than others, and maybe certain forms of of certain supplements and dosages and so forth, it varies. And so to say it very generally, I don't want to send that message across. But I think one of the best ways that we can get started in supplementation is just seeking out 3, 4, 5 brands that we know are legitimate. I have a couple that come to mind right now that I always turn to, in order to buy supplements, and I repurchase from these brands because I know that they're quality. But really educating yourself and doing your research and your homework around what you need is so important, and really understanding what it is that you're putting in your body. I think what is problematic, and something that I experienced when I, was in my late teens and early 20s, was, I had no understanding of what it meant to supplement properly. I didn't know about, being sure I was pairing certain supplements with other supplements, or, something that's going to impede the absorption of another nutrient, or when to take a certain nutrient, or don't take it with food, or take it with food. And I think all of these intricacies and complexities are important to consider, so that you're actually making the use that is, intended of the supplements that you're taking. I think another issue in the supplement world is we are reaching for supplements before we're nailing down the basics. The basics being, proper nutrition, the basics being proper sleep, exercise, really nailing down these basics before we're reaching for a supplement. If our body's in a space of stress, if our gut is in a state of stress or havoc or dysbiosis, or we have leaky gut of any kind, any level of permeability, we are not really going to be able to use the supplements that we're taking if we were to first focus on these basics and reduce the inflammation that's there so that our body can actually take advantage of the nutrition that we're trying to consume. You can't out supplement a poor diet. You can't, add in all of these supplements and still choose to not work on your sleep and not, take care of yourself nutritionally and move your body and so forth, right? These are all prereqs to supplementation. I want to draw our attention to supplement. What does it mean to supplement? It means to add in addition to, right? Supplements are meant to supplement a well-balanced diet. They're meant to supplement a, well-balanced lifestyle in relation to stress management and sleep and exercise and so forth. So really understanding how important it is for us to address those things first, because at the end of the day, you might be wasting your money, especially if you're not buying supplements that are high quality, right? Now, I know that there was research done, and I don't want to share any statistics specifically because I don't have them and I don't want to misquote. But there is research out there that shows there are some brands or some supplements that were tested and contained little to no traces of the supplement that they claim to contain, the nutrient, vitamin, mineral that they claim to contain. Now, this is shocking, right? This is absolutely shocking. The fact that there are brands out there that are marketing to the consumers that their bottle of supplement, their vitamin, nutrient, mineral, contains the vitamin, nutrient, and mineral, and yet there's no traces of this vitamin, nutrient, mineral in the supplement. How wild is that? How absolutely insane is that? And this just begs the need for us to be more intentional and informed about our purchases and what it is that we're looking for and what brand and what company is the most reputable, the most qualified in order for me to purchase. Now, my stance on supplementation is it's very valuable, especially in our world today where our food supply is so much less nutritious than what it was decades ago. And so for some of these more basic nutritional deficiencies that exist, we're not able to get the nutrition from the diets that we're consuming, even if we're eating the most healthful, most perfect diet, simply because the food quality is different. So when it comes to supplementation, some of the general suggestions that I make, and as a certified dietary supplement professional, I do feel qualified in sharing this. Magnesium, vitamin D3, omega 3s, right? There are certain supplements that I find deficiencies are so widespread. We need them desperately in order to feel our best. I mean, there's so much research behind vitamin D deficiency and, long-term health outcomes. Magnesium's involved in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cellular processes and different, systems within the body. That deficiency in magnesium has been connected to all sorts of issues, right? And so supplementing with them in an appropriate way is something that, generally speaking, most of us can benefit from. But any supplements outside of maybe these more basic recommendations are very specific, and we have to be conscientious of what it is that we're consuming, as opposed to, oh, I saw so and so take this, or I think I might need this, so I'm going to add it in, right? And it's really about understanding your body and understanding your needs and doing your due diligence in researching brands and understanding their composition in order to not only use your money wisely, right? Because supplements are not cheap, but also be sure you're giving the body what it needs. And also clarifying that, just taking supplements, kind of frivolously, kind of as, I had a client one time tell me she took supplements just because they were in the house, right? You have to be really aware of the repercussions, the harm that can be done by just taking supplements just because they're there. So keep this in mind. Do your research, really seek out brands that are high quality, that are third-party tested, that make their products with integrity and they're using high quality ingredients. I can share a few brands that I know, trust, and love that I use regularly. So those can be found in the show notes, but also work with someone who's qualified to give you the support and guidance in identifying what is necessary. Like I said before, I think supplements are huge and important, and they need to be addressed in a more cautious manner. And I think people can benefit from using supplementation because of the nutritional deficiencies that exist within our country and our world. And it's just unrealistic that we're going to get all of our nutritional needs from the food that we're eating. Even if we're eating, like I said, the most healthful, the most nourishing, the most nutrient-dense diet. Adding supplements into your journey can be wonderful and beneficial. It can actually transform your life in a lot of ways. You're going to have different needs throughout different stages of life as well. So considering how that's going to shift for you, maybe you're in a certain phase where your body needs a detox. Maybe you have some sort of genetic predisposition, which is in my case, where your detox pathways are compromised. So for me, I take additional supplementation for the sake of supporting my body's detox. But that's me, right? So really familiarizing yourself, working with someone who's qualified, working with your primary care doctor or someone who can actually do some legitimate testing for you to really understand your body's needs, or getting genetic testing done, that has really transformed my health so I can better understand what my body looks like, what my makeup looks like. Diving into this a little bit further, if you have the means and if you're interested, can really completely transform your health if we were to infuse our supplement choices with a little bit more intentionality. Really tuning into the importance of approaching this in the most informed and educated way based on your body's needs. Ultimately, that's going to serve you and your health best, as opposed to choosing supplements that you haven't done research on, or taking supplements just because someone else is taking it, and so forth. Habit number 3. Now, I don't know if this is a habit, right? I don't know if this is considered an actual habit. I guess it is. I guess we could qualify it as a habit. I joined the 5 a.m. club a couple years ago, and I love it. I love being a member of the 5 a.m. club. And now, don't get me wrong, there are some days that it's a 5:15 club, sometimes it's the 5:30 club, other times it's the 6 a.m. club, right? We are human, and this happens. However, my morning time as a whole is so sacred to me, and I attribute so much of who I am today to the fact that I have given myself time in the morning to grow, to nourish, to fill my cup for the sake of my day. And this is, both for my health, this is for my professional career, my entrepreneur, journey. Everything about my life, personally, professionally, health-wise, and so forth, has changed because I've chosen to adopt this morning routine, consistency in my bedtime, and really, really, looking at my morning and my night as being bookends of my day. Now, I fully intend to do lots of episodes on nighttime routines and morning routines, aesthetic aside, because this is an area that I'm very passionate about. And I find that there's so much value once we start to reframe the way we see our night and our morning as being pivotal to really determining the trajectory of our day, and then also determining our quality of sleep at night. And if you know me at all, you know how strongly I feel about sleep and the importance of sleep and getting high quality sleep and so forth. So when it comes to morning routines and it comes to joining the 5 a.m. club, this happened gradually over time. I, shared on this a previous episode where I talk about joining the 5 a.m. club. So I won't go into too much depth about how it happened. You can take a listen to that episode if you're interested. But I more so want to describe and to articulate how it's changed my life. And it's changed my life in the way that I now wake up with a morning routine that gets me excited, that gets me out of bed, and that support my mind and my body along the way. And ultimately, that's what we all want, right? We want a day filled with behaviors, actions, habits, and so forth that best support our physical health and our mental health. Maybe that's only me. But if you're here, I'm hopeful that that's your intention too, right? By listening to this podcast, that you are walking away with strategies and suggestions and tips and so forth to infuse your day more with behaviors, actions, tips, and whatnot that help support your mental and your physical health every day. So I will say that it doesn't mean you have to join the 5 a.m. club in order to be successful at this and to really start your day in a way that fills your cup. I say fuels your body, fuels your mind, and fuels your soul. So finding behaviors that fall within those criteria is a great way to get started in building a morning routine. I recently learned about different chronotypes and sleep chronotypes, that all of us fall into one of these categories. There's 4 of them. And I myself am someone who likes the morning, right? So I'm more inclined to wake up at a certain hour, say 5 or 5:30, because of the way I'm built. Whereas others, it might be 7 or it might be 8, right? It depends on your circumstances. It depends on your lifestyle. But I would never suggest to everyone you need to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, right? Because that is really stressful for a lot of people. And it can oftentimes cause more harm than it is, helping us. So really tune into your body, your needs, and I can share the quiz, the chronotype quiz, in the show notes so that you can take the chronotype quiz and you can learn for yourself what your, specific schedule looks like as it relates to sleep and supporting your circadian rhythm. So I'll put that there. But the morning time has given me the opportunity to really tune into, who do I want to be today? What are my intentions? What are a few pages that I can read to help educate, to help expand my mind, to help, further my personal development? Can I practice my gratitude? Can I journal? Can I do a meditation? Can I move my body? Some mornings I try to get myself to work out earlier, especially if I have a busy day ahead. Other days I, procrastinate and I wait a little bit longer into the morning. But, how can I set up my morning so that the trajectory of my day is significantly better? And that's ultimately what I'm trying to portray here, is having this time in the morning. It can be 15 minutes, it can be 20 minutes, is going to help change how you feel throughout the day, and then inevitably going to impact your quality of sleep at night, right? It's all connected. And if we're waking up in the morning and we're stressed, or we're late, or we're super unhappy, or we're having our coffee on an empty stomach, or we're not having breakfast, or whatever it is, right? We're only going to influence the quality of our day ahead, and then that's going to carry into the night. And then you can imagine from that, if we continue in this domino effect, it's going to become much more challenging for you to wake up more restfully, more optimistically, and then that cycle continues, right? There's a vicious cycle that takes place there. So really identifying what is a time that works for me. Your chronotype will help guide you with that, or maybe you just know your body well enough to say, yeah, you know what, 5 o'clock, it doesn't do it for me, but I can do 6 o'clock, right? Waking yourself up gently, avoiding snoozing, which I can talk about on another time as to why we shouldn't be snoozing. Doing something that helps nourish your body, maybe get outside for a walk, get your morning sunlight. Do some journaling, do some gratitude, do a meditation, maybe move your body, right? Exercise. Finding behaviors and habits and actions that fill your cup and fuel your day inevitably is going to change how you feel for the rest of the day, and it will change your life. I am certain of this. And, what's really fascinating is the fact that we've really normalized this chaotic morning where, I have a coffee in one hand and a donut in the other hand, and I'm running out the door. I barely have my pants on. I'm in traffic. And you think about what that is doing to our nervous systems, number one, but also our blood sugar and our, focus and so forth, right? Don't even get me started there. But think about what tone the day has now set as, right? How are you setting the tone for the day when you are starting the day in that way? And that was me. I mean, don't get me wrong. That was me in high school. I barely made it out the door. I was late to my first period class every day, enough that I lost credit for my AP Spanish class because I was always late. I was always eating breakfast when I got to school. And obviously we want to factor in, the fact that as high schoolers, there's research to support that it's inorganic or against our body's clock to be getting up so early to go to high school. So they suggest we should move the start time for schools to a later time. But all of that aside, the more chaotic your morning, the more stressed out your morning, the more activated your nervous system is at the very start of the day, the more this will filter into the day that you have to follow. And so I am such a big believer in establishing a morning routine that helps support your body, your mind, and your soul. And this began in tandem with that personal development journey when I started reading personal development books in the morning. And so the two of them together has just been such a synergistic experience for me because it's been so pivotal and so transformational to the quality of my day, the quality of my health, my quality of sleep, and really committing to it consistently, there's going to be such a significant difference in how you feel in mind and body that's going to incentivize you to get up, to, prioritize a consistent routine. Now, not every day is perfect, right? And I don't want to ever come across as that, right? There's definitely days where I'm either not home or I sleep in or something prevents me from, committing to my routine. But I think for the most part, if you can establish some rhythm there, some routine there, you will notice a difference in how you feel. And really being strategic by infusing this morning, not only with some of these activities that are filling your cup, but also prioritizing protein in the morning, not having your coffee on an empty stomach, getting that natural sunlight, all of these habits that have been shown to be really helpful in supporting your circadian rhythm, supporting your hormones, and so forth, that in and of itself is going to transform your health and then obviously transform your life. So the 5 a.m. club, I love the 5 a.m. club. I mentioned in one of my other episodes that there's a book called the 5 a.m. club. That's where I got the term from. But, don't make it about getting up at 5 a.m. if that's not for you, right? Find the time that works for you and roll with that. Sometimes it means experimenting. Sometimes it means trial and erroring. But whatever time feels good to you, where you're not completely sleep deprived or you feel like you're honoring your body's organic rhythm, that's going to be the very best time for you to get up, to do your thing. And I promise you, your life will change. My fourth and final habit is perhaps my favorite habit. I didn't intentionally leave this one for last, but I think that this one might resonate with a lot of you listening, because I think in the past maybe 2 years, we've really seen an influx in sober curiosity and really understanding what that means and defining that for ourselves. I've said before, and I've read a little bit more on this, I feel as though in maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 years, we will look at alcohol like we do cigarettes, really acknowledging the toxic effects of it, recognizing what it's doing to the body, recognizing what it's doing to the brain, long-term health outcomes related to alcohol use, how it's impacting our liver and our gut, and really stepping aside from it instead of how socially, culturally, we've also normalized it, right? Socially speaking, culturally speaking, alcohol is associated with celebration, with friendship, with holidays. And, I think once we start to really uncover more of this research around its impact on the body and the brain, I think we might think twice a little bit more. But for the sake of this conversation, I don't personally abstain from alcohol necessarily because of its impact on the body and the brain. I'm a health coach, and so you'd think, okay, that must be the reason why. And yes, there's obviously components to it. Obviously, I know that, it's not serving my gut health, it's not serving my liver health. For someone who already has detox pathways that are compromised, I know that it's placing extra burden on my body. And I'm doing whatever I can to lessen the stress, lessen the toxic load, and lessen the harm that I'm inflicting on my body, right? That can contribute to disease. So it's more just about how it makes me feel. I definitely think it has changed over the years in terms of the effect that alcohol has on me. I don't have the same experiences maybe what I had in my early 20s, late teens, early 20s. And my hangovers are definitely not what they were. And I don't really say necessarily hangover, because I feel like hangover is associated with nausea and headaches and so forth, but it's really just a general lethargy. And I have a lot of anxiety the day after drinking even just one glass of wine. I don't feel good in my skin. And I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that I have spent so much time, and I still spend so much time investing in feeling good through movement, through the foods that I'm eating, through getting good quality of sleep. So when I don't feel good, it's very, very obvious to me. I'm so much more in tune with how my body feels because I prioritize nourishment day after day after day, both in mind and body. And so when I don't feel well, even if I'm just slightly off, it's very clear to me. It's amplified. And so just having a glass of wine, I'm waking up feeling groggy, feeling lethargic, feeling anxious, right? I know I didn't get good quality sleep. I know that it's impacting me in different ways that really just impede my ability to feel good. And because of this, I just have no interest in it, at the very least, as often as I did before, right? No longer interested in just having a casual glass of wine, no longer interested in just drinking because other people are drinking, and no longer really being interested in just engaging with it kind of without much thought because it's there or because why not or because it's the holiday. I put forth a lot of more intention in when I choose to partake. I wouldn't say that I'm 100% abstinent from alcohol, but for the sake of the frequency with which I was drinking, or maybe how casual it was for me, that's no longer something that's on the table. And I feel so grateful for this because not only do I know that it's serving my body and my brain better, right, in 10 years and 20 years and, beyond, but it's also me choosing my quality of life, right? It's choosing feeling good every day over just having a short-term experience of a buzz or the taste of red wine or, something of that nature. And like I said, don't get me wrong, I love a spicy margarita. I love a glass of wine. I love red wine. I've loved red wine for years. It's my favorite. I just love the flavor of red wine. And don't get me wrong, I have tried to find non-alcoholic red wine. If anyone has one that they recommend, please let me know, because I have yet to find one that's good and doesn't taste like grape juice, right? But I know at the end of the day, I want to be choosing behaviors and choosing actions that make me feel my best. And this just is no longer included in that list. And something that I really want to emphasize here, which I did say before, but to bring it up again, it isn't necessarily entirely a physical experience more than it is the mental experience. I think I abstain from alcohol more because I don't want to feel the level of anxiety that I feel and the lethargy that I feel the next day versus having a headache or having an upset stomach or, feeling tired, right? All of these things are unfortunate and all of these things are not fun. But for me, and I hope that this is relevant to some of you or resonates with some of you, it's more about how I'm feeling emotionally the next day. I just do not recover well and I really don't feel good, and it contributes to my anxiety. It contributes to feeling really just low and, melancholy. And I just would rather not feel that way, right? I would much rather not feel so low mood and, irritable and on edge. I just don't want to feel that way. And so my choice to not drink, while it's had its ebbs and flows, right? While there's been moments where I've gotten caught up in, the environment, or why not, or let's just, who cares? I'm here. Why not? Right? Things like that. And I realized the next day, yeah, see, I didn't want to do that. I really didn't want to do that. I went into the situation not wanting to do that, and I did because I, was there, and why not? And then, I regret it. So not to say I, don't have a good time with the people I'm with, or, not to say that it's not still a memory I'm making with my friends or, my family or whoever it is, but I'm also learning how to really stick to and honor the value that I've, really uncovered. And that is, you know what, I'm not interested in alcohol, and I can have just as good of a time without it, and I'm going to feel so much better as a result of it. So this is my fourth and final habit that really has changed my life. I am certain that some of you are going to be able to relate to this, so I'm grateful for that. And maybe if you can't relate, or maybe it's something you've given thought to and whatnot, I hope that this speaks to you in a way that maybe allows you to re-examine or reevaluate its role in your life, because it's been quite a few years that I've been undergoing this process. I'm actually reading a book right now called Sober Curious, just to read, some insight from someone who has navigated a similar journey, to find some community and really understanding the thoughts that went through this person's head, and now they're writing a book about it, right? And, to really kind of make the decision moving forward, how do I want this to play a role in my life? I strive to put forth energy into feeling my best and living my best quality of life in physical and mental ways every single day, right? That is my goal for the rest of my life, is to choose behaviors, choose actions that fill my cup, that allow me to feel good, And the habits I just listed are ones that either promote that, or as it relates to drinking, are ones that detract from that. And so I encourage you, after listening to this episode, to take audit of your day and take audit of your habits and evaluate what are the ones that contribute to me feeling good and what are the ones that detract from me feeling good. And it's not to say that it's very black and white, right? There are a lot of things that can make you feel good that, maybe are not the best for you in terms of mind and body, right? Say, for example, staying up late to, have conversations, with your best friend, right? That's that's something that feels good because you're connecting, you are catching up, whatever the case is. Maybe it's not so good for your sleep and your circadian rhythm, but that's okay, right? From time to time, that's fine. That's what balance is about. That's what life's about. But it's more often than not the decision to invest in behaviors and habits and routines that help fuel you, that help allow you to feel your best in mind and body, and being willing to take an audit and be honest with yourself when there are things that don't contribute to that. And that is my biggest emphasis and biggest takeaway for today's episode is whatever the habits are for you, whatever the habits are that changed your life, whatever the habits that you feel like you maybe need to part ways with, be willing to go through that process, trial and error, experiment, maybe take some of the suggestions I've made today. And if you have questions about it, I'm happy to answer them. My DMs are always open. We can talk habits and we can talk, the 5 a.m. club. We can talk anything you want, right? But this is my encouragement for you today. All right, take a look at your habits. What stays? What promotes your growth and, nourishes you? And what are the habits that maybe, we need to re-examine, reevaluate, and readjust? Well, thank you for being here today. I appreciate you. I hope that this episode brought you value. And until next time, be well.